Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So it's the beginning of the month. We are in August 1st, 2023, which means that we're about 15 months away from the 2024 presidential election. We're also approximately 5 months away from the Iowa caucuses, so we're moving pretty quickly here. And because it's the beginning of the month and because we have not done a prediction on this channel between Donald Trump and Joe Biden since the beginning of June, I thought that I would take time in this video to do an updated 2024 election prediction 15 months out between Trump and Biden. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to fill out the states. We're going to look at some of these early metrics. And of course, things change. It's probably going to not exactly be 100% accurate compared to the predictions that we're going to be doing later next year leading up to the election. But as of right now, given the current trajectory, this is going to be the updated election prediction. So we're going to fill out the states. But first, I have to tell you guys about my very good friends over at Noble Gold, because the US dollar's lost 85% of its value since the 1970s when the dollar decoupled from gold, and the government seems hell-bent on continuing that. From now until after the next elections, the government can print as much money as they want. The last time they did that, inflation went up by 9%. Gold is the one asset that's been proven to withstand inflation. Invest in Noble Gold investments. You will also get a 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin for free. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now, noblegoldinvestments.com, or simply dial 877-646-5347. Noble Gold Investments, the only gold company that I trust. So, without further ado, we're going to fill out the safe red and blue states. But first, let's take a look at the polling, because as we know, if the popular vote is going to be within 4 points or so come election day, Donald Trump will likely defeat Joe Biden given trends, given the Electoral College, and even though state polls were not that accurate in 2022, the national polls actually underestimated Republicans by 0.3%, and right now, they show Donald Trump and Joe Biden neck and neck. Biden, despite being an incumbent president, is at 44.9%. Donald Trump is there at 44%. Depending on the day, Trump sometimes leads in the aggregate. Some polls have him winning the popular vote. That was never the case in 2020 between Trump and Biden. It was the case for a few days in 2016. And for the people that will say, well, what about somebody like DeSantis if he gets the nomination? Taking all politics of the primary aside, DeSantis consistently polls worse than Donald Trump against Joe Biden by a couple of points or so. And some people will chalk that up to name recognition, but still, besides the point when you look at the fact that his policy and his brand is not exactly built for states like Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, at least compared to Trump's, which are going to be necessary for Republicans to win to retake the White House. It's probably accurate to say that even if DeSantis would do better in the popular vote against Biden, he may do worse in the Electoral College against Biden, which is true. So furthermore, let's fill out these states, the safe red states, states that are going to be safe Republican, really no matter what. Republicans just outnumber Democrats there to a significant amount. We can fill out all of these states. We're going to be adding the states of Ohio and Iowa to the column given trends. They almost voted for Trump by 10 points or more. Both times, I think now they would, especially given Biden's falling approval rating and favorability since the 2020 election. Trump's really hasn't fallen that far, at least not compared to Biden's, which is actually lower right now than Hillary Clinton's were in the 2016 election. We'll throw Maine's 2nd district as a cherry on top there. And we're also going to be filling out the safe blue states here that are going to be going Democrat by 10 points or more regardless, which does include this eastern seaboard here, including the state of New York, even though it may get narrower, which will help Republicans have a shot at picking off the popular vote for the first time in 20 years at the presidential level. We'll also throw Colorado in the mix, just given trends and how the state really has moved recently. It's unfortunate, but you have a lot of liberals from California moving there and moving to other states in the Pacific Northwest, but thankfully you do have a lot of Republicans in California. They exist, believe me, and they're moving to places like Nevada and the DFW area. So technically, they're helping those states move a little bit to the right in the case of Nevada, or possibly fend off the nightmare that Republicans have of this blue Texas. So without further ado, we have 201 electoral votes worth that we have to fill out on this map here. And we're going to start off with the likely Republican states. I think we could say that Florida could very well be safe. I just think because it's too early, because we haven't seen that quite yet at the presidential level, I'm going to be leaving this one in the likely column, which means that it's going to be voting for Trump by 5 to 10 points or so. Now, that doesn't really mean that Democrats are going to have a real shot at taking Florida. They're not. And I think when the primaries are over, you're going to see Ron DeSantis endorse Donald Trump, and that will obviously help unite the party down there and get the apparatus working hard to make sure that Trump will have a massive victory in the state of Florida. Also, the state of Alaska. I don't really know what's going on in Alaska. You saw the midterms there. They were very underwhelming for Republicans. They lost that House seat there. Partially, it's due to the wacky vote system, but there is something unusual going on in Alaska, and it very well could vote for Trump by more than 10, but their voting system is pretty weird up there, and they're going to try to do anything possible to increase Democrat gains in the state. I'm not sure why they're investing so much time there. It's only 3 electoral votes worth, but nevertheless, we'll put Alaska in that column. Also, the state of Texas, we're going to put in the likely Republican column, which is going to bring Donald Trump to that 219 firewall floor. And what this does is essentially shows that the state will have at least one last holdout of being like a state that votes for Republicans by 5 points or more. Trump's personality, a lot of people are saying, isn't really the best fit for the state, but still, you do have trends that are positive in South Texas, and even though they didn't shine through in the midterms, it's very likely that they would shine through in a presidential year with higher turnout, because a lot of those trends you saw because of higher turnout. Now, that's only a portion of the state, but also you look at metros like Houston, even some of these big counties may be turning a corner, and even though the suburbs are going to continue to move left, you could play around with the election shuffler. It's not going to be enough to really make a 5-point dent happen, and you're still seeing these red areas that are like 80% Republican. They're becoming 85 and 90, and all those votes technically do add up, and they're adding up to the Republicans' benefit. So I think the state of Texas stays Republican. It votes Republican by probably the margin that it voted for Trump by in 2020. Also, Biden is just despised in Texas, and that's also another reason why I think Republicans are going to hold it by a likely margin. So, furthermore, let's go to the likely Democrat states. New Mexico, Trump possibly could make some, minor gains with Hispanics that could make that margin go from 10.8% to roughly around 10%. Biden's lost popularity there, and energy is a big thing, and he's kind of dropped the ball with the whole oil thing. But still, Democrats held it in the midterms, and they flipped a House seat there. I think it goes Democrat at the end of the day, but probably by a little bit less than it did in 2020. Other likely Democrat states, we could start off with the state of Maine, which, again, it voted for Biden by 9 points. It's probably going to vote for him by a similar margin. New Hampshire, they don't like incumbents a whole lot there, but the Republican Party in the state isn't really the best either, outside of being able to maintain the governorship, which it seems as if Sununu is not going to even run for re-election there, which if you can get a better Republican in there statewide that could win, that may be a net benefit, even if it's going to be closer. But still, I think that New Hampshire, it's probably going to go Democrat by around 5 points. It might bounce back because they don't like incumbents a whole lot, mainly because incumbent presidents have a track record of doing something, whether it's good or bad, and you have a lot of libertarians there that are not going to be content with that, whichever way they may lean, but more lean left than right in New Hampshire, sadly. Also, the state of Virginia, we're going to put this one in the likely Democrat column. I think the state party there and the Republican side is getting extremely competent, and they are turning a corner to a certain extent. It's also not really growing as much anymore as some other states like Georgia or Arizona, where demographic trends have been working against Republicans. So I think that because it was a 10-point win for Biden last time, you're going to see that margin dip. I'm not going to say it's going to dip enough to make it super competitive, but because you have a popular governor there that's a Republican, and he has pledged to support the nominee. That's a good thing for Trump, but also the state party being more competent overall and seeing some trends in some of these places. It definitely could get within 10 points. I'm not saying it's going to be competitive really anytime soon there. So in terms of likely Dem areas, I think Nebraska's second. Trends in the Omaha area are benefiting Democrats, even though the state of Nebraska isn't really poised to flip anytime soon. And then I think we could throw the state of Minnesota in the mix, unfortunately, because the state is broken. And technically the Minneapolis area is the anchor of the state. Chicago's the anchor of Illinois. The rest of Illinois is a red state. Minneapolis is kind of being that to a certain extent, even if it's a lesser extent. And even though I think Republicans will possibly have a chance to bounce back in exurban areas like Anoka County, and maybe they could pick off a county like Lake where you have a large white working class population, it's just not going to be enough. They saw their city burn to the ground, and then they voted for Biden by record margins in a place like Hennepin County or Ramsey County, the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Disaster there. So it could be within 5. I think that, honestly, it's going to be within like 6 or 7. Trump may gain a point or 2 there, but it's not going to be enough. And, well, actually, you know what? There's going to be a big third-party share this time compared to last time. You have these third parties are trying to get people on the ballot. And with Cornel West, I actually will move this state to the lean column, but it's not going to flip. But it'll be like a 4-point win for Biden. We got to take that into account as well. But nevertheless, we have the remainder of these states here. I think we're going to just fill them out. We're going to, I wouldn't say speed run it, but we're going to go through each one and we'll see which way they go. So North Carolina, that's going to go for Trump. He won it last time. I think he may win it by more than he won it by last time. The state party there is actually extremely competent. Republicans were outspent there in the midterms, and Ted Budd won by 4, which is more than Trump's 1.3% victory in 2020. And on top of that, you have Mark Robinson as that Republican governor nominee. Hopefully he's able to get through. That would be incredible. North Carolina, they do like historically to split their tickets, but still, party fatigue is a real thing at the state level. That would be epic. That's arguably going to be the most important election at the statewide level of 2024, so that'll have a spotlight on that. But nevertheless, you have a lot of favorable demography in a lot of these rural areas. Republicans are running up the score. They're narrowing a lot of these counties in northeastern North Carolina. The suburbs of Charlotte are a lot more white and working class compared to the suburbs of a place like Atlanta. So North Carolina should stay titanium lean Republican this time around. So state of Michigan will fill this one out as lean Democrat. The state party there on the Republican side is just extremely incompetent. And there's a coup going on right now, actually, which may save Republican chances at, flipping some House seats or maybe the Senate seat or even the presidency there in 2024. But it's just in shambles. They raised like less money in the first quarter than what most ordinary people in this country have in their checking accounts right now. It's just insane that they are that incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. And as a result, it's not going to help Republicans out in 2024. I'm not saying Trump can't win despite it, but it would take a very, very good night for him to flip the state of Michigan. Those third parties definitely could help out depending on what happens. But nevertheless, we'll fill out the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia, this is one that's going to be very close. I could fill it out either way, honestly. And come to think of it, I think that you look at the trends in the Atlanta area, they're not exactly beneficial for Donald Trump and Republicans. And it's a sad thing to say because a lot of the state is solidly Republican. But you see this population growth in Atlanta that's really taking away from it. Republicans do have the geography factor working out for their advantage in regards to House seats and things like that, and they have the governorship there. But either way, it's kind of working against Republicans. I think the state of Georgia, it's not looking good. You could say, though, Republicans could engage in the harvesting early voting thing and go out there and beat them at their own game. But still, this is a toss-up. Last video, we filled it out for Trump. This video, we'll switch it up a little bit, but who knows what's going to happen by Election Day. So up next, we have the state of Arizona. And again, this is another state where you kind of run into a few problems. You see the growth in the Phoenix area. You see Maricopa County being Maricopa County and kind of giving Democrats that edge that they have in the state. And also Tucson's not really beneficial. You're gaining in some places. You're gaining in some parts of Maricopa County, but is it really enough to offset these trends? I'm not sure. I think it's going to be close either way, though, but we'll give Arizona to Biden, which is going to put him at 268 right now. Trump's got to run the table to have a victory, and he could easily do it. Nevada, we'll start off with Nevada. Never did many people think 5-10 years ago you'd see blue Arizona, red Nevada. I blew the whistle on that, and I think I was vindicated a little bit in the midterms, but I'm definitely vindicated now at the presidential level. You look at the fact that Republicans flipped the governorship there. They lost the Senate seat by a few thousand votes because of a snowstorm, despite being vastly outspent. And you just look at overall trends, the fact that your largest demographics there are non-college educated white voters, Hispanic voters, two groups that have moved to the right in 2016 and 2020. Trump moved the state to the right in 2020 from 2016. I think that Republicans are going to flip the state for the first time in the red column since 2004. And that's going to give Trump the edge in the silver states. So we have the state of Wisconsin. This is another one, another state where the state party's kind of crumbling at the seams to an extent, but still Donald Trump, a lot of favorable trends there in a lot of these places. Biden's not super popular there. Republicans did go out there and flip the Senate seat. They could have flipped the governorship if they had a nominee who ran a more competent campaign. And overall, you see trends to the left in the WOW counties, or Waukesha, Washington, Ozaukee. Ozaukee is the one that's really moving left. The Republicans have a pretty high floor in the others because of educational demography. But on top of it, Ozaukee's the smallest county. It only netted Trump like 7,000 votes in the state. He probably could lose that, make up the gains elsewhere. I don't think he's going to lose it regardless, but it will be closer and more competitive. But still, there's a lot of room for growth in Wisconsin. I think with Trump, the fact that you have somebody that's going to go out there and is willing to early vote, harvest if possible. Democrats are trying to make it legal. We could flip that on them in the state. Then Republicans, I think, overall will take Wisconsin. Trump will take Wisconsin. He has that unique point of strength there. It's a state where the majority of the electorate is non-college educated white. That is Trump's base right there, which leaves Pennsylvania, another state with favorable demography to Trump. And even though Republicans did get shellacked there in the midterms, I think that Republicans overall, if they use the election system to their advantage, they didn't do that in 2020. Biden had the home state factor kind of working for him. A lot of people were saying he's Scranton Joe. He's Pennsylvania's third senator for his entire career. And Trump still, despite this, came 1.2 percentage points away. And he may lose in the Philly suburbs, but I think he will make up the ground elsewhere overall enough to really take the state. He's definitely going to run it up in the Pittsburgh suburbs. And from there, if he's able to get out his voter base in Pennsylvania, I think he can take Pennsylvania. And this could very well be the map. This is not the most conventional prediction you will see, how you have Nevada red, Wisconsin red, Pennsylvania red, but it comes down to those three states. Trump's likely going to hold Texas, North Carolina, Florida, you name it. So what he's got to do is he's got to go out there, and he really has 5 states to focus on, Arizona and Georgia. I'm not saying ignore those, but Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, they're the big 3. Republicans flip just those states, they're going to win in 2024. So the final prediction, Trump 270, Biden 268. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.